Welcome, friends, to the Someone Gets Me podcast. I am your host, Dianne A, and I am so delighted that you're here. This podcast was created because I believe there is a visionary leader inside each one of us who is waiting to be seen. In each episode of Someone Gets Me, you will hear useful tips from successful visionaries who will share their stories about how being seen has allowed them to take their vision out into the world with action.
Living fully as a gifted outlier. Hi, friends. It's Dianne coming to you from the Someone Gets Me studio. Today, I want to talk about being an outlier, and being an outlier because you're gifted or neurodivergent or all the above, right? What's that feel like? Have you had times where you were left out, or people always wanted things from you, but you never got invited to the parties, or people treated you differently at work or in the family even? You probably always knew you were different. Like I always knew I was different. I remember looking around when I was younger going, I don't know if I belong here. Like here, didn't know. I knew I was different. I knew I thought a little faster than other people, and I asked questions that weren't expected of somebody at whatever age I was. I tended to be more aware of things. Now, part of it was because of a chaotic life, home life, but also I was just naturally more aware. I noticed things other people didn't notice. I paid attention to things that even my teachers in elementary school would inquire why I was paying attention to those things, and it was normal for me. I also had very intense emotions to the point where even my own mother said, "Oh, your bladder is too close to your eyes," because I would get tearful at sentimental commercials or at deep love or care, along with tearful when I was sad or upset. And so I always knew I was an outlier. So what about you? Where did it come together for you that you are not totally typical, that you're an outlier in one form or another, or that you just don't dance to the drum of everyone else, like you're just not the same? When did that happen? Have you always known it? Did you figure it out later? Did you mask most of your life and then wake up and say, hold on, I want to be the real me? There's all kinds of ways we do it. And I think a lot depends on our environment and the people around us and our own safety and our own understanding. And if we have people in our corner to tell us that what it is, it's happening, right? And so I want to talk about this being a gifted outlier today, because I think a lot of times those of us who are outliers can sometimes shrink in certain situations, or act overly big in other situations, or somehow have awkwardness going on in our world. So what happens is we end up burned out, or we end up not wanting to be around others, or pretending and playing games and then feeling bad about ourselves. We might be carrying a lot of old shame or discontent. And I want to tell you that there's hope that we don't have to feel that way anymore. That being a gifted outlier really is our asset. It's really that part of us that's different by design. We're like this on purpose. We're designed this way to bring something unique and special and beautiful to the world. Because I believe that everyone has an amazing calling, and all of us, gifted or not, outliers or not, have amazing callings trying to come through them. And so I think the larger question for each of us is, am I saying yes to that? Am I allowing what's trying to emerge through me to come and show up in the world and be that beneficial presence? And I think it's difficult when you're an outlier because there's fewer of us and we get judged a lot easier. I know I have been called so many names and made fun of so much that there were times in my life that I didn't know if I wanted to keep going on. I was trying to find a way to hide even more than I already was, because it was so deeply hurtful. Now that doesn't happen to me anymore, or at least not to my face. And I now can embrace being that outlier, being that person who is the black sheep of the family. If you look at my entire biological family and you look at me, you would go, she doesn't really belong there, other than the fact that I look exactly like my mother. Other than that, there really isn't a whole lot. And I think it's because I am a gifted outlier. And I think I came with this in mind on an energy soul level, right? And so being an outlier and being gifted means that we do the world differently. We process things differently. We have different emotional regulation. Our emotional range often is much wider and more expansive and more nuanced, even if we're shutting down. So we can feel everything, or sometimes we force ourselves to feel nothing because our range is so much more than somebody who is not a gifted outlier. And so we have an experience of the world, and the way the world lands on us and we interact with the world is often quite different from those around us. And that's not necessarily good, bad, or indifferent. It's just, that's the way it is. You know, I used to think there was something wrong with me, and I internalized it when I was younger as a real shame and pain response. Well, when I finally realized that that's not the truth. The truth is it's a superpower. The truth is my gifted outlier self, my neurodivergent self, has within it something more beautiful than I ever could see when I was younger. Thank God I can see it now, right? I mean, somebody even said to me just the other day, "Oh, you're neurodivergent. You have that hidden disability." And I said, "No, it's a hidden superpower." I don't see it as a disability at all. I know the medical model does. I know lots of people do. And I guess in some situations that's true. But I think even the people who have the idea that it's a disability, if they could realize that they're different by design, there's something beautiful about the way they're made that is not typical, that is here to teach and be and thrive. And if the people who are so grasping, I guess, onto keeping everything the same and making just a bunch of clones in the world, if those people could wake up just a little bit and see the great value all around, I think it's our responsibility as the outliers to be outliers, to be who we authentically are. Because isolation and self-doubt create misunderstandings. They create difficulty in our world. So if we try to hide, which I've done before, it doesn't work very well. And then pretty soon we start doubting ourselves. And the truth is that outlierness part of us is meant to show up, right? So if you have self-doubt, look at yourself for a second and say, am I hiding parts of me? Am I hiding parts of my beauty and goodness and my geekiness maybe, or my diversity? What am I hiding that's creating self-doubt in me? What am I hiding that is creating a sense of not being understood or heard because the people around don't see the whole thing? It's important that we have awareness and that we are willing to look at ourselves and look at how we interact with the world, because the world is not made for us. We know that. And we can interact with it in a healthy way because we want to harness our gifted energy. We want to let our overexcitabilities, our nuance, our creative energy, our flow, and oh my God, our intuition and our ability to just feel and know and be. We want that energy to show up. We want to turn that energy into something that serves us and serves others in a beautiful, amazing, powerful way. With most of the leaders that I work with and the people of notoriety, this is part of it here, is learning how to turn those things that people have said are wrong with them into realize that really it's something right with them. And how can we let our heart's desire show up by harnessing who we are in a real way and staking our claim for our own sovereignty, that this is who we are. And it's beautiful and good and mighty. And there's something about us that is meant to bring out, is meant to awaken and inspire ourselves and others around us. For all of us, it's going to be something different, even if it's similar, because our calling is our calling. My calling is my calling. Your calling is your calling. And everybody's calling is different, even if they're similar. There's plenty of room for everybody to fully express who they are and all their beauty without all the goofiness. So think about it. Where do you kind of hide your gifted energy? Do you let your creative flow show up with your cool ideas? Do you squash your intuition or do you use it? How does it work? Pay attention. What are you doing? Are you in survival mode and just kind of plodding along, wanting to feel and be something more alive and different? How are you doing it? Because see, the leaders who are gifted out here in the world, we're here to bring something. We're here to bring our goodness, our sense of justice, our kindness, our creativity, our intellect to the world. You're not here by accident. You're here on purpose. All of us are here on purpose. So how are you using your gifted outlier self for the good? Now, I think that it's important that we build true connection. And I talk about it often, that connection is the correction. And I really think that's important. Now I'm 100% introverted. And so I need to recharge my batteries by myself. But I'm also a social introvert. So the social connections with others is vitally important to my well-being and my sense of welfare, because socially we're meant to be connected to others of the same species, no matter how introverted we are. Introversion doesn't mean you want to be alone all the time. Introversion means you recharge your batteries alone, where extroversion means you recharge your batteries with others. And an ambivert means you recharge your batteries either way. It has nothing to do with your social skills. It's how you recharge yourself. There's typical ways people look, but social introverts can look like they're extroverts, but yet still need to recharge their batteries by themselves or in a small group, right? So I digress. Anyway, so we want to build connections, right? We want to allow ourselves to experience all of who we are. Now, I also believe in multiple peer groups, and I think some of us are so intense and so nuanced that we need multiple people in our world, in our inner circle, in order to feel totally heard and understood in all of our, I call it like our bandwidth or our big expression, right? Like, how far can we go? I know that when I'm living in one section of my bandwidth or another, sometimes it feels very restrictive. So it's important to have lots of people in our world that can understand different parts of us. So the collective understands us and we feel heard and loved and respected. And I hope that's making sense. It's making sense in my mind. I hope it's making sense coming out of my mouth. I just love it. Sometimes my ideas are just really amazing because I'm thinking about the different environments and I'm thinking about how important it is as outliers to own it, to quit pretending like we're one of the masses when we are meant to make a unique contribution to our own world and then thereby the world of others. Like, when we own that, when we quit lying to ourselves about who we are, when we begin to practice, I guess would be a good way to say it, letting our expansive, beautiful self show up, when we allow ourselves to regulate ourselves in a meaningful way. All of these things are so important. So we want to, it's kind of like dancing on an edge, right? Like, woo, but we don't fall over. We dance on the edge. We don't fall over. We dance on the edge. We don't fall over, because we can manage our energetics, because we can pay attention to how we're affecting the world and who we are in the world. Because as outliers, it's our responsibility to realize that when we run into situations with regular people, a lot of the times they're going to look at us and go, whoa, baby. I know one time I was teaching a class in a substance abuse center I was working for, and they said, you're feeding us with a fire hose. To me, I thought I was going slow. I did the world differently. So I changed my pace to match the audience. They were able to hear me, and I was able to get the message across of what I was teaching. That was really, really amazing. One of the things that I like to do with gifted outliers to help us all live fully is pay attention to what our legacy is, what our living legacy is. A lot of times people don't really focus on what legacy am I leaving with my thoughts, my words, my actions? Am I fulfilling my heart's desire and leaving an energy behind me as I go? How is that working? And so a lot of the mentorship I do has to do with that legacy, that idea of 7 generations from now, how will my thoughts, words, and actions have affected the unfoldment? Am I living for the highest good? Am I living with confidence and poise and grace? Am I clear about my purpose? So I have fun working with people like that in all the mentoring that I do. And mentoring is much different than coaching. And so it's fun for me to do that. So if it's something that you're thinking about, do a get to know you call, and we'll talk about if I have an opening and how that would work. But it's really important that we pay attention to our legacy and how we're impacting the world, thinking 7 generations down. I think that's important. It's not next week. or next month. It's what's the bigger picture look like? How are you bringing your full intensity to the world? How are you receiving guidance and direction for what you want to do, right? How are you doing that? What conditions need to happen for your brilliance to show up? Are you tired? Are you tired of being an outlier? That's another one, right? Some people look at me and they go, oh gosh, I'm really tired. I'm tired of being an outlier. I need to recharge my batteries. I go, I know I need to recharge mine sometimes too. We all need to recharge them sometimes too. And usually we're burning out because we're shrinking. Usually it's because we are pretending we're less than or different than we really are. And so we have to find safety in places where we can be our geeky outlier self, or our comedic outlier self, or our driven outlier self, or a creative outlier self, and be loved and heard, including that part of us, right? Where we don't have to hide it. I think that's so important. So just remember that you being a gifted outlier gives you permission to live fully in this world. If you're cheating yourself by not being yourself fully, by masking or hiding, or maybe you're experiencing some silent pain or upset because you don't know what to do with it, or maybe it's just been really hard because you've been made fun of. I've gone through that part. Feel free to reach out to me, because that's what I'm here for. Maybe I can help shed some light on things for you, or show you a way that will serve you. That's what I'm here on planet Earth to do, is to help serve my fellow beings. So feel free to check the show notes for that if you want. And also to come to the Different by Design retreat that's coming up in January 2026. I do retreats a lot. This is like my 15th or 16th one. And then we're going to start doing them more frequently now, geared toward successful, professional, neurodivergent people and their families, so that all of us can come together in meaningful, powerful ways. So check out that link in the show notes too. But most importantly, this show is for you to be reminded by me that you being an outlier as a gifted person is something that is beautiful, something that is needed in the world, and something that I totally admire and cherish. So thank you for being in my life, and thank you for listening, and know that you are welcome here, and you can always ask me any questions. I'm happy to help, or just have a nice conversation with you. That's why I'm here. So don't hesitate. And in the meantime, keep your face to the sun so the shadows fall behind you, because you're a rock star. You're here on purpose with a mighty purpose. So go out there, let your light shine, be your outlier self, and see how your world changes for the better. Until the next episode of Someone Gets Me, this is Dianne saying, be well.
Thank you for listening. I trust you gained some valuable inspiration and information. Please join me and other visionaries in the Someone Gets Me Facebook group. Or for more information on my services and additional episodes, visit someonegetsme.com. Again, thanks for listening.